Yo, what's going on, guys? Sekapoko here, bringing you another 7 Sins Grand Cross video. I'm in the middle of laundry day, and as you can see, still finishing. But apparently, there was some news that came out, and Mono has received a buff on the global version, but not on the JP version. So, guys, it's going to be really kind of similar to the way Monspeed worked, where that the red Monspeed has a different passive than before. So, we're going to go over that, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's go over Mono really quickly, and then we're going to go over what she has on the Japanese version to give you an idea of what you can expect. So essentially, Mono has a base kit that's going to have a Sever attack and a Poison attack against one enemy. Poison is not yet buffed on the global version. It is still the same original version as launch. It will be buffed probably in the next month or so, or probably if Global keeps the same track record. Essentially, bleeds, poisons, and shocks got buffed overall, and now they do a little bit more damage on their damage over time with the release of Hendrickson, as well as the release of the new Winged King. And with this, we're going to see some different changes with the characters. So the thing that was really buffed, quote unquote, and we don't know if it's buffed yet because we'll have to do extensive testing to figure this out, is the passive ability. So the passive ability for Mono is really interesting. It says increases the damage the hero, increases the hero's damage dealt by 50% per bleeding, poison, and shocked debuffs when attacking enemies with that said debuff. So that's way better than what she has right now on JP. And the reason that it's way better than what she has on JP, here's the JP version. Increases damage dealt by 50% if attacking enemies with bleed, poison, or shock debuffs. So, if this is in the game, and when on release, if we open up the character window, we see the character, and she has this passive, it is a quote-unquote buffed character. Now, the reason we can kind of see that come out the light is because of what happened to Monspeed. If you're not aware of what happened to Monspeed, Monspeed on the Japanese version will apply only 2 Ignite stacks per on his ultimate, and on the global version actually goes up to 7 Ignite stacks on his ultimate, making his ultimate a massive boost in the amount of Ignite stacks that you can get on all enemies. So it's really interesting to see that this could be potentially the second buff character that came out. Now, of course, beware because of what happened with the Red King debacle with Red King's passive. Red King, if you didn't know, had a passive ability that was very poorly worded when put in the game. There were many YouTube videos put out about it. Essentially, it kind of was very, very confusing, and some players were led to believe that it would actually nerf different characters that it actually nerfed, like it would affect Valenti's passive ability just based on the wording of the passive. And it obvious, and many players knew that it did not. It was very, very easy to see that it did not in game, but when players figured that out, they felt a little slighted by it because they're only playing the global version and they didn't follow any Japanese YouTubers. So there were many players that were affected by that. But I don't think that's going to be the case in this situation. I think it's actually going to be a buffed character because the wording is so different than the Japanese version. Whereas on the Japanese version, this basically said, what does it say? It says it's going to increase damage dealt to targets with poison, shock, or bleed by 50%. And this one says increases the hero's damage dealt by 50% per. And the key word here is per. That means that you're getting multiple stacks of this passive. Now, I don't know how they're going to show that because Mono's current passive doesn't have a number at the very bottom or anything like that. Essentially, Mikasa's passive would be a very, very close interpretation of what you could expect, where you start at 0 stacks and go all the way up to 10 stacks based on the amount of stacks that you gain over time. Gowther stacks would be another way you can equate it. Basically, the more turns you don't get hit on Gowther versus the amount of allies that get hit with Mikasa give you stacks, which will then increase the damage you dealt. If that's the case for Mono, she is much, and I'm saying this, not saying this lightly, much better than original. Now, the reason that I'm saying that is Mono's damage overall is kind of low, but if you were to say put up a an area of effect debuff on all enemies, you could potentially get a ridiculous amount of damage modifiers on mono. Let's say if you use the new Hendrickson with this mono character with the buffed passive for mono and did an area of 2 debuff effects for poison and shock, that's a whole 300% increased damage on mono, and that would allow you to get massive damage on a character that is, as I said in my showcase video if you didn't see it, on a character that always crits. Now, the thing with mono, if you didn't know, mono's base crit chance, I believe, is like 85% or something ridiculous. It's 80% crit chance. And with Super Awakening, she actually goes up to 100% base crit chance or more, depending on the cosmetics, etc. So this would make her a much better character. Now, in comparison to Lostvayne Meliodas, obviously she's going to be much worse than Lostvayne Meliodas, but against other characters that would be using single target damage in PvP, this would be a really interesting unit to use. And the nice thing about this unit is it's an original character. Because it's an original character, it allows people to get the unit in 242 diamonds guaranteed, and you can actually buy the cosmetics, which on the global version, forever. You also get a free cosmetic through the event, so it could be somewhat an affordable unit. Now, do I recommend anyone pull on this banner? Probably not, dude. Just chill. I mean, even if the unit's buffed, the only people are going to be, like, if you're a free-to-play player or a budget player, you're fine. She's not meta. Even with this buff, she probably still will not be meta. But if you're a whale, or if you want to try out something different and you don't really want to run with the Lostvayne Meliodas kind of meta, and you want to do a different, waifu-style attack cards and use the character, yeah, she's really cool. I like her a lot. I think that she's fun and interesting to use. I do not recommend people pull for her unless you are, a little bit more of a whale, because we don't know what's on the banner itself. But what I have looked at from the Netmarble news post, they didn't really post what I find is kind of annoying when they do the news post is for some reason they don't put the banners on the news posts on any of the banners. So it would be really nice to see what the banner actually has. I got about 2.5 hours more maintenance, but it's 11 o'clock at night and I can't really check up for the banner. Most likely it's going to be Blue Lilia, Green Lilia, and Valenti on the banner because it's the original character banner. And yeah, it's basically, that's what it is. But they do tell you that there's going to be the normal type of step up banner that they're having with mono, and they're having loyalty points along with it with the normal loyalty reward. So there's not really anything major about this unit. But the fact that your passive is so massively buffed leads me to believe that I kind of want to pull for this unit just for fun. I don't recommend other players to pull for her, but I definitely am considering pulling for her myself just because it's interesting to see a unit with this. Now, another character that would be very closely related to this character, if you wanted to get like an idea of why I would want to pull for this character, and another reason I would kind of want to pull for this character is based on her new buffed passive based on the notes here. I'll have to see when she gets into the game. I'm actually kind of curious. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and see if I could get some testing out. But a major reason is because of what happened with Green Monspeed. Now, Green Monspeed, if you did see my showcase for him, he has a weakness-based ability, and he has the ability to get 100% increased damage when you attack an ignited enemy. Now, Poison, Shock, and Bleed are much easier to come by than Ignite for a viable PvP unit. Case in point would be Mikasa. However, though, an area of effect version of that, not as much. I do want to see what this character would work well with when Hendrickson comes to the game because of his increased debuff damage ability. I'm wondering if they're going to do a rework on the Japanese version, actually boost this unit. That would be very interesting to see. Now, from the ultimate ability and what we see for Green Monspeed, we haven't seen any changes yet on the Japanese version, but this is again the second instance of a quote-unquote possible buffed unit on the global version. And I'm able to do some massive damage on Green Monspeed because of the single target damage from his weak point ability and the ability to have this buff right here. So I'm kind of curious to see if there would be a way to use mono away and just get a crit cleave instant one tap on turn 1 with her to see if she would be actually potentially a top tier unit at some point in the future, if not now. All right, guys, again, sorry about the mess. laundry, and this came out randomly. I wasn't really expecting it, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, of course, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. I'm gonna go finish laundry and then get to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the stream. If you gotta check out, maybe we'll do some monopoles and we'll check it out. But have a great day, guys. Peace.